Hello and welcome everyone to the second video for course. And that video we will learn about the sub-branches of Concord that actually them denigrated designing. Involved a lot of type of books began to describe them and differentiate them according to the industry. Like in the sheet metal industry, we are going to make the components of the sheet and metals and the dies related to dark. We can describe that word according to the industry. So let's start with them one by one. So let's start with the sheet metal designing. In this sheet metal designing, those are different sorts of operations. As you can see here on the left side, you can see the list of them. So basically we need to design their dies according to the requirements. Like in case of linking and punching, we need to design dark die in gears of shading processes. We need to design their day in dark B and banding process. We need to design their day in that respect. So in case of all types of diet, we need to do some calculations. You can see here, and then we need to design the die. The second look in the sheet metal industry is related to the components. The sheet metal components are made, but the calculation based on 3D software. So we need to design them according to the requirement. So we need to like bending leaves, corners, leaf, and bending radius. So these kinds of work is involved in sheet metal. In this I have made a special called them sheet metal industry. If you want to learn them, you can learn everything in detail about their diet is any and the component designing, and that is. So let's start with more casting and designing. Today means forging day, so into plastic injection, molding, sand casting, disgusting and more, because you need to design these kinds of more, and it is the catch, we need to design accordingly. Contraction alliances, that means if we model that piece we need to scale it according to the contraction alliances, and then we need to design that sort of more with the help of 3D software. You can directly mirror Darren word here. You can see this is presentational really software SolidWorks, in which this is used with the help of gravity command. I have also made a special call some word casting. Doubt is ending, in which you can learn everything about more designing, plastic molding, casting, and a force day for food purposes, so in which you're going to learn everything, and in that you will also learn something about reverse engineer. And then we have a machine designing. Basically there is two types of machine. One is over conventional machines like TNT, BMC, other machines. The second one is a special purpose machine, that is like here you can see the biscuit making machine. In the machine designing, there's a lot of work, like you need to design that sorts of structures, these kinds of 8 metal component, these kinds of machines supporting mechanisms. Here can see those specs of machine designing, like you need to design the structures, mechanical mechanism part, their supporting mechanism part, some power parts, and there are other objects too. It is the command line designing, Andy Kaufman design, and you need to design stacked again, rotate 3 equipment, maybe you help or that on, and secondly you have to model that blind, and then you may need to design that piping system. I have also made a special course in that, and you will learn as be true. It is a new software. Now the industries are adopting that software. So in their specialized schools you will learn everything about equipment blind, and of course more by designing, and all the things are in a Peter. In case of Dixit of fixtures, scaffolding, a stricter design. And you need to design all these sorts of discs and fixed. Sometime you need to design this stuff forward, because is entirely a different thing. Actually the scaffold is linked to the construction industry. These kinds of things you can design a 3D software, like in SolidWorks you can design that in very dramatic what you similarly sometime you need to design that sorts of structures. This is the stuff of rack. You can see here sometimes these kinds of look at inboard and industry. This is the autumn mechanical branch in which your design testing engages equipment victim mechanical knowledge, as well as you have also the complete understanding of these scanners, sensors and other equipment. Electrical equipment. So there's also a requirement of physics knowledge to by designing these kinds of thing requiring more and more knowledge in depth. I've also designed a course on the sometime you need to design these sorts of fixtures for word testing purposes, like as I've told you, and you use them for performing shear load. We need to design these kinds of fixtures sometime you need to design their sorts of testing gauges, and this is just designing. Require depth to molecule for 10 minutes in specialized drafting or cyber. Tell you everything about the extent of these kinds of gauges are standardized to be then available in the market for designing. It's a very fascinating done, and there's a lot of things involved in that, like market research, reverse engineering, project management, project dark times. There's a lot of things. Sometimes we need to design some parts, maybe automotive parts, fast notes, those little parts, or biomedical products. I have made a special course on burden of presenting that in war and everything about it, like market research, all the processes, reverse engineering and whole of product design, so you can learn everything in detail, and tax specialized logistic planning and designing. It's a very hidden down, maybe you have never heard about that branch, but one of my friend is working in that field. In that field you need to design these sorts of boxes according to the material for the loose materials so that they can back in them, and then you need to plan their arrangement in a single container, so then we can make their transportation more economic and we can trust. But more this is the list of some of the industrial runs is a mechanical, but I do L and other branches too, but the upcoming time, and we will make some special calls on them and explain them in depth. They get to be AC and another one. So thanks everyone.